announced that we started seeing evidence of vote fraud. And even the leader of the Scottish Tory party, Ruth Davidson, she announced on television that she had actually sampled postal votes from the islands. Now, that's against the law. She was questioned by the police, but we never ever heard anything about it. Anyhow, further down the line, there was a young fella who's a big fan of yours, was listening to that show, and he actually started his own YouTube channel and subsequently got his own radio show on a network called Truth Frequency. And we eventually found each other, and he's had me as a guest on his show several times. And I was on last Thursday, and we were talking about the Brexit. And of course, we weren't expecting it to happen the way it did. Now, he had another guest on, a guy called Chris Everard, who's a documentary filmmaker, and he also has a show on TFR. And I heard him on Sunday afternoon, Alex, talking to Leo Zagami. And he happened to mention that he figured that Nicola Sturgeon, the leader of the SNP, is actually MI5. And that raises a very, very interesting question, because my friend in Glasgow, his name's Kev Baker, we correspond every day, and he's never met anyone who actually voted to stay in Europe. So there's something very fishy going on.
Well, sure.
And the way
well, listen, what they did is, I've thought, because they can constitutionally, even though they never voted to be part of it, say you can have a second vote, and then it narrowly, loses next time. The exit polls showed that it was much higher people voting to leave Europe than were voting to stay. So I agree with you, Major Hanky-Panky Scottish John. Good to hear you calling the broadcast. I don't mind shout-outs, and he does it nicely. But I tell you, every line he said was a shout-out. That's all his buddies. That's great. But, I really like shout-outs to, like, Mom. Hey, Mom, it's Scottish John from Austin, Texas. Casey in Oregon, you're on the air. Welcome.
I came up with a term called the UN exit. It's about exiting the UN. And I was going to see what you thought about holding a vote for the U.S. to leave the UN.
I think it's a beautiful idea. We should have the UN exit, and we should start a petition at whitehouse.gov. They started that to just act like they listened to you. But as soon as we started dominating, and others did, they started making it be 100,000 signatures or whatever. When we got that, they said, oh, more. But, yes, we should start a movement to exit the United Nations criminal operation. I totally agree. And they try to hold us hostage. They're the parasites that are trying to dictate to us, and the U.S. funds half the UN. So I'm sure the UN will tell us the sky's going to fall if we don't, stop letting them run our lives. It's like having some deadbeat husband that beats his wife, and she works 2 jobs, and he says, honey, you're not going to have I can't tell you in my life, years ago, the bullies, in some cases, the bad employees that you catch doing really horrible stuff. I haven't had bad employees in a long time, crew members. And they literally look at you and say, you're going to collapse without me. And I'd say, okay, great, have a nice day. But it's just how delusional these people are. And you look at the bureaucrats. It's when Nigel Farage said to the EU bureaucrats yesterday, he said, most of you have never worked a day in your life. And most of them haven't. I mean, they are just the appointees of big mega banks who first set up the euro. It's an unelected Politburo where they hand the power down to the next person. So the debate is over, Casey, because this is something that they never voted to enter. Go ahead.
I was going to say also we could might be the right climate for people to accept after the Brexit happened to do maybe possibly a meme contest on the UN exit.
Yeah, I'd actually have to have crew members, though, to judge it and post the meme and make sure it got the full traction. That's why we haven't been doing a lot of contests, because we'll get 1,000 entries and we can't even process it all. So we're trying to hire a few more crew members, get them trained. That's a process as well, so we can actually try to reach out and actually interface with more folks. But great points, Casey. Thank you. Let's go ahead and talk to Mike in California. Mike, you're listening on 1340 AM, I should add. Go ahead.
Hi there.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, cool. Hey, I wanted to ask you to mention something, because you've done it before, about faith-based initiative. You talked about some of these parishes sponsoring illegal immigrants as a transfer point. And also, too, if you could consider a possible interview with Oliver Stone to discuss Snowden, as well as this 2016 election and maybe Trump. I think a lot of listeners would be interested to hear.
Well, I know this. Snowden has come out and criticized Putin for his warrantless spying, which I think is admirable. He's been trying to get out of Russia and get into another country. And I'm not demonizing Russia overall, but I mean, in many cases, it's just as bad as the stuff going on here. People say, well, that means it's okay then. No, it's not okay. But I think Snowden is a hero. I think he is for real. I think what he's done is very, very important to force this giant criminal operation out in the open that isn't there to keep us safe, but is there overall to absolutely control our lives. I mean, look, I'm all for open intelligence gathering on the open web to track things because, I mean, private companies do that. Websites do that. That's just data, you know, to be marketing. But when you sit there and actually listen to phones and read emails, you know, Google didn't tell people until we made a big deal out of it, and others did, that they read your emails with AI computers. Well, that's not right, you know. So as for Oliver Stone, you know, I've known his son, Sean Stone, for probably 8 years or so. I co-hosted with Ventura and him a season of a show. Got to know him pretty darn good. He's been on here and there. And I've just nicely said, hey, I'll ask your dad to come on. But you know, at the same time, his dad, I disagree with him on some issues. I think he has a lot of courage, probably some of the most courage in Hollywood with his alternative history series and the Snowden movie he's got coming out. He kind of put out a 9/11 movie that went with the official narrative. I'll be quite honest with you. I'm not... 5-10 years ago, I would be thrilled to have Oliver Stone on the show. But I really... It's kind of boring. You know, I'm kind of past Oliver Stone. And I don't mean I'm better than Oliver Stone or I'm more accomplished than Oliver Stone. I mean, it'd be nice to have him on and talk about his pieces and get him to say what he thinks of them. And then it'd be newsmaking if he said something controversial. Sure, that'd be great. You know, it's like David Lynch. Big fan of a lot of his movies. And then he comes to Austin. I talk to him privately. And he says, you know, one thing to me. And then he comes on my show and is scared to say any of it. And it's like, I'm not mad at David Lynch for that. At least he's one of the Hollywood people that's willing to come on. If I told people, and this was kind of fun 10 years ago, you know, all the people in Hollywood that have contacted me and all the rest of it, and you know, oh, come out here, let's talk about a film project. And you fly out to L.A. or you fly to New York, or they want you to fly to the Reykjavik or fly to London, and they want you to come meet with them. And you go meet with them, and it's just them wanting to be political but scared of doing it. It just really gets old. And so that's why I said, like I can go out to L.A. and meet Chris Carter, who says that the new X-Files series is a character based on me and that I'm a good guy. And I like Chris Carter. He's a really smart guy, formerly a journalist. And if I ever get out to L.A., I'll try to call him up and go meet with him. But it's just kind of like, almost like leave him over there. It's like I kind of have already, or like Joe Rogan. I've been friends with him since like 1998. Used to hang out with him a lot. He's gotten busy. I've gotten busy. He's always saying, come on my show. I say, come on mine. It never happens the last year or so. People always ask. So I finally got mad and just said, look, forget Joe Rogan. He has his show. I have my show. And then Joe texted me and said, hey, here's my new number. Maybe you didn't have it, but I want you to come on, buddy. Love you. I said, well, I love you too. Okay, I'll come on your show. And it's not that I get it. It's like, me and Joe were talking the other day, and it's like it's not like we're even jaded. It's just kind of like he does his thing, I do my thing. And it's kind of like Oliver Stone does his thing, and then I do my thing. But I am a talk show, so I should try to get these folks on. I only get people on if I'm trying to learn something from them. Like, I want to see what this congressman says. And then I wasn't eavesdropping on him. I wanted to go talk to him during a break. He didn't know I was listening. And I got to hear behind-the-scenes stuff where he was saying all these really nice things. And I said, hey, go ahead and shut that down. I don't want him to, he doesn't know I'm listening, so turn it off. You just kind of pick up stuff. Or to have Pachinik on, that guy's a total character, or all these other folks we have on, that's what I'm really into. I mean, look, it was way more fulfilling to have Matt Drudge show up, almost had a heart attack, super reclusive, and he's got a reason to be, and then to be on my show, and he does like one show every few years. That was way more cool to me than being at a party with Brad Pitt with like 50 other people and stuff like that, or talking to Brad Pitt for 30 minutes. Whoop-de-doo. I wasn't really into it then. Being at a party that George Clooney's at, being at a party with like 4 people, and there's what's his name from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you know, or I mean, it's like you almost don't want to be behind the scenes with Josh Brolin and Sean Penn, because they're just sitting there like basking arrogantly that they must, just even when they're at a dinner going, oh, we're God, oh my God, we're all in movies. And I can still go see a movie like Sicario, and Brolin plays a good part, the movie's pretty accurate, and like Josh Brolin, or when he played W. But I like them as an actor. I literally could care less about Josh Brolin. He is like an arrogant 5-year-old child. Sean Penn is like a lobotomized monkey. Brad Pitt's has to wear, I think it's makeup or cream to cover up pockmarks in his face. I don't wear makeup. I don't care. I'm a fire-breathing caveman. And it's not about me, okay? But I want to talk to people that want to build space stations. I want to talk to astronauts. I want to talk to test pilots. I want to talk to gardeners. I want to talk to horticulturalists. Horticulturalist. I'm having trouble saying that word. I want to talk to quantum physicists. I want to, read poetry. I don't want to be in this whole fake fantasy land that is just total garbage. I didn't mean to go into a rant. I really apologize. That wasn't right. I just cannot explain to people how freeing it is to not care what people think about me, to not care about Hollywood. And I never really cared, but I cared a little. And I guess because I got to see behind the scenes the top of Hollywood, the top of music, the top of politics, for whatever reason. And I realized it's cold, it's dark, it's empty, and I don't want to be any part of it. So don't feel inadequate. The one power they have over so many people is women at the magazine racks buying all the thing about the stars and how do they look good, and they show you an anorexic woman so that you think you need to look like something that isn't natural, and everything's meant to sell you something that's bad. They're not even selling something's good. I'm not against selling something somebody they need. I'm all about that. That's symbiosis. I'm not going to sell you something that I don't think you really need or want, that I don't believe in, because I already realized when I sell you, I sell myself and comes right back on me. I'm not a rapist. There's these guys that want power over women. They want the power because they don't have power. They want some weird fake power. I want a woman to be in ecstasy. I want them to have pleasure. That's my pleasure. That's the kind of guy I am. And I'm not saying I'm a great guy or anything. The point is I realize I'm not like so many other people that don't have power, don't have innate power, don't have primal energy, don't have primal force, who are just scrabbling around like a bunch of rats trying to build this world that they control to make you feel inadequate, so you've got to come to them to get all the answers. God gave you the answers in the genetics and the culture that he created. All right, I'm going to jam as many phone calls in this segment, a little overdrive segment, and then Paul Watson, always informative, always on fire. He's going to come in with the Brexit, the Benghazi situation. Just briefly, wish that caller wouldn't have hung up talking about seeing UN cars pulling people over. I believe anything now. I just really actually wanted to hear from him. So send us any photos. People are always like, telling me about stuff. Send us photos, send us videos to News Tips. Write up a report of what you saw. Give us your number. You are our reporters out there on the ground. Why not? The UN's already suing sheriffs all over the place that arrest illegals for even criminal acts. Why not? They're already advising Obama. He says that's how he gets his authority to ignore Congress and the Supreme Court. The UN setting up strong city initiatives to take over local cities. Literally. Literally. So I get probably true. I'm not going to belabor this. We have the best quality storable foods. There's kind of a nexus point. You can buy really fancy, expensive, gourmet, freeze-dried stuff that costs like 5 times more than InfoWars Select. I had Buckley plugging it the other day because he's eating some of it. He goes, it's very, very passable, decent food. Some of it actually tastes pretty good. I love Buckley. He just won't, But I'm telling you, for the price and the quality nexus, it is the best deal out there if you want super low price and really good quality. Obviously, there is super high-end stuff out there that tastes better. But compared to just even stuff that costs twice as much to some of the main camping lines that's freeze-dried like this, it doesn't taste as good. And with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, this stuff lasts 25 years, is in the best packaging. We've got 15% off running right now because of the globalists talking about food shortages and stuff in the future. All I know is they want us dependent. You're insane if you don't have storable foods. We have the new version of the Hillary for Prison shirt. It's back in, limited edition, InfoWarsStore.com as well. But if you go to InfoWarsSelect.com, that takes you right to the